All right, so I'm going to do my best to respond to a bunch of questions I've gotten since yesterday. Again, I'm a sports medicine physician, assistant professor of community medicine and orthopedic medicine at Columbia Presbyterian, and I'm addressing questions I'm getting from family and friends on this platform. So there's some MIT professor dude that is talking about Anthony Fauci being in bed with Big Pharma and how vitamins are going to cure this illness. So I'll keep it short and simple. First of all, he layers this thing with lots of little truths. Is it true that civil liberties have been impaired since 9/11? Of course. And are we all concerned about that? Of course. I'm not a political expert. I'll speak to the science of what has to do with your health because that's what I'm concerned with. If you can get outdoors and get some sunlight, of course that's good for you. Is vitamin D going to cure COVID? Probably not. So how do I know that? I know that because this is a virus that causes a severe disease that's mediated in your lungs. I think the particular video that people are sending to me, in it, he says something along the lines of Anthony Fauci is wrong about HIV causing AIDS. I don't know where he's coming up with that. I don't know what science that's based on, but HIV most definitively causes AIDS. And if someone wants to make the argument that your immune system not functioning is how a virus takes over, yes, the immune system needs to function normally to kill viruses. But zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, the things he's talking about when he mentions scurvy and pellagra and how those nutritional deficiencies are treated with vitamins, there's a very different thing than saying that a virus is attacking specific tissues in your body that your immune system then has to respond to. There is another concept called cytokine storm, which is an overaction of your immune system in trying to respond to the virus. And that's not unique to COVID. There are other viruses that can cause a similar response. The point here is that if your system works well, if you're a healthy young person, this virus has less of a chance of overwhelming you. And the ways that you can support that are through exercise. I'm a big advocate of exercise is medicine. Nutrition, whole foods, avoiding processed garbage is absolutely going to help your immune system function. Less sugar, less processed garbage, more vegetables, more fruits. Most certainly. Vitamin C can help to support your immune system. Zinc, elderberry, vitamin D. These things can help to support your immune system. But that's what they're going to do, support your immune system. There's not a conspiracy hiding the truth of this. We know that your immune system functions better when you're healthy, when you take care of yourself, when you sleep well, when you exercise a little bit. Right now, we're not going to overdo it with exercise. We're going to stay at about 50 to 75% of our usual routines. The reason for this is because heavy exertion, high levels of exertion can actually suppress your immune system. Light exercise stimulates your immune system. So let's stay active. And obesity, let's talk about another thing, not just the types of foods that you eat, but the quantities. Obesity is probably the single biggest risk factor in this country for COVID being able to take over and destroy your lungs and other organ systems. Make no mistake about this, other organ systems are involved. People are dying of heart attacks, strokes, hypercoagulable states, which means that the normal clotting mechanisms of your body get hijacked by the virus. Yes, those things are a direct result of COVID. So if we're going to say, how did this person die? They were infected with COVID and they had a heart attack. They died from COVID, not from the heart attack. The COVID caused the heart attack. Was it possible they had some pre-existing heart disease? Yes. It's the same way as if you had cancer and you died of a stroke. They might code it as a stroke, or they might code it as the cancer was the thing that killed you. So let's not try to get into the semantics of how we name diseases based on the World Health Organization or the International Classification of Diseases, ICD-10. Let's focus on the fact that COVID is absolutely killing people. To the tune of over 100,000 people in the world today are dead. 1.6 million are infected. Focus on that. That's another point that was brought up. Antibody testing is necessary for us to really understand the denominator of this disease. It's a basic mathematical problem. Right now, all we have is a numerator, and even that isn't perfect because we're using a PCR test. The bottom line here is that science is difficult, it's challenging, it requires lots of thought, and the sources I continue to recommend the World Health Organization, the CDC. They're fallible, as is Anthony Fauci, as am I, as in anybody who is trying to do something that's really difficult, solving very complex problems. Are all the solutions perfect? No. But let's control what we can control today. Let's control ourselves. Let's think about what we can contribute and to our health and our family's health. Let's eat wholesome foods. Let's get enough sleep. Let's get a little bit of exercise. And as far as these claims of Anthony Fauci being part of the pharma establishment, I don't understand the concept of pharma has been around for hundreds of years and assigns pellagra and scurvy as non-nutritional deficits. First of all, the pharmaceutical industry has not been around for hundreds of years. The pharmaceutical industry has been around for about 75 years. So small truths can often confuse our way of thinking. And one last thing I'll leave you with, cognitive bias. Cognitive bias is your way of seeing the world through a very narrow lens. We all have a very narrow lens, doctors included, scientists of all kinds included. The key is identify that bias. My bias is I'm a doctor. I work at a hospital. Obviously, there are things that I want to propagate for your health that I have direct experience with. The question is not whether or not people have bias. Everyone has some version of bias. It's the lens you see the world through. The question is, how transparent are you in your bias? You don't see any books behind me while I'm talking to you because I'm not selling any. This guy that I've seen this video passed along to me on every possible social media platform speaks very intelligently. He's a biomedical engineer from MIT. Of course, he's going to say some things that are true. Unfortunately, he's layering those truths with lies. This guy thinks he invented email. Think about that. He thinks he invented email. He's been shot down in every court in this great country because he's delusional. And I think if you look at where people come from, how their education put them in the situation they're in, and you get away from the conspiracy theory way of looking at the world, it is obvious that there are competing interests in the world. China is competing with us. There's no question about that. There's no question that there are industries that are trying to sell you something, and it can get very confusing. But let's not confuse that with what's happening in the world today. There's a pandemic. People are sick. People are dying. We want to protect our families. There is no secret to this. Take care of your health. Eat well, sleep well, hydrate. Avoid the nonsense. And I hope to see you all soon. Be well, be safe.